Third carries a symbolism that doesn't need numerology to feel significant. The repetition of threes has always represented structure, the blueprint behind how humans make sense of life. Beginning, middle, end. Past, present, future, thought, word, action. Whenever those three fall out of alignment, life feels scattered. But when they match, something clicks into place in a way that's impossible to ignore. This is why the 3-3 eclipse is often described as an amplification code. It doesn't predict events. It intensifies whatever already exists. If your thoughts go one way, your words another, and your actions a third, the disconnect becomes harder to tolerate. You feel the friction instantly, but when your internal world lines up even slightly, the momentum becomes unmistakable. This night magnifies coherence. It exposes contradiction. It reinforces clarity, not in a manifest your dreams way, but in a grounded, structural way. Because when your thoughts, words, and actions finally match, you stop fighting yourself. And that's when movement happens. Alignment isn't magic, it's momentum. This eclipse makes you feel the difference between trying to force a path and naturally stepping into one. It's not about asking for things, it's about organizing your inner world so the path ahead stops feeling like resistance and starts feeling like recognition. And that shift is exactly why the ancients treated 3-3 as a hinge moment, a point where life doesn't change instantly, but your direction does. There's two sides to this eclipse. While most of them believed in the doom narrative, some older civilizations actually believed the eclipse was less about destruction and more something else. In Maya culture, eclipses were studied with extreme precision. They weren't staring at the sky terrified. They were calculating timings, patterns, and correlations. The reason? They believed these moments pulled the mask off reality. They saw an eclipse as a moment when the universe paused just long enough for people to notice what had been shifting beneath their feet. It wasn't the end of anything. It was the beginning of understanding. Babylonian records go even further. These ancient astronomer priests tracked lunar eclipses in connection with leadership changes, political turbulence, and exposures of power. Not in a fall of civilization narrative, but in a revealing of what was already unstable. They believed the eclipse didn't cause the shift. It simply illuminated it. It marked a moment when the truth became too heavy to remain disguised. And maybe this March 3rd eclipse follows that same lineage. What makes this prophecy forgotten is that modern people stopped looking at eclipses as mirrors and began looking at them as omens, which we don't really know for sure if that's the truth behind the eclipses. There's two sides to this story. Total lunar eclipses don't appear randomly. They follow cycles that have been tracked since ancient times, especially the Saros cycle, a repeating pattern of eclipses that returns approximately every 18 years. Many spiritual traditions paid attention to these long arcs, not because they were obsessed with prediction, but because they recognized something humanity often forgets. We revisit themes in cycles, collectively and individually. When you look back at the previous instances of eclipses in this family, you start to notice a pattern of transition years. It's not about forecasting exact events, but acknowledging that humanity seems to move through waves of tension, release, and reinvention that align with these long eclipse arcs. This isn't magic, it's observation. It's the recognition that large-scale changes rarely appear out of nowhere. They build slowly over years, and then suddenly, the tipping point arrives. This March 3rd eclipse belongs to one of those long-running cycles, one that has reappeared during times when societies were questioning themselves, redefining values, and adjusting course. When you line up the years, the connection becomes hard to ignore. Whether spiritual or not, Humans tend to shift in rhythm with these moments. Unfinished conversations return. Collective direction changes. The world reassesses what it's been carrying and what it's ready to set down. And beyond the historical and astronomical framework, there's another layer people have been talking about quietly. The energetic timing feels different this time. It lands in a period where people around the world are more aware, more reflective, and more sensitive to change. It feels like a culmination of pressure that has been building globally, socially, and internally. It simply suggests that humanity is stepping back into a theme we haven't fully resolved, and this eclipse marks the moment we finally face it with new eyes. Because when a cycle returns, it's never to repeat the past. A cycle only reappears to finish what it started.